listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
As a parent, your life is your child.
With Luke, he's the whole world, you know?
He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and it just rips your heart out. You feel completely helpless.
But when you come to St. Jude, that is a whole nother level of care.
You have cutting-edge scientific research here, doctors at the top of their game, and there's nothing but love in everything that they do.
I asked my wife, I was like, what is this going to cost us? And then we did a little bit of research, and then we realized that no family ever receives a bill.
St. Jude covers the cost of everything so that we could focus on our family. St. Jude gave our family the chance to be together. They saved our son's life, and we did not pay a cent. And that wouldn't have been possible without St. Jude.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
No, he said, I told him yesterday.
Thank you, Lawrence, and good morning, listeners. You are listening to the Wednesday morning Kingston Community Radio Talk Radio Show. We'd love to hear from you, broadcasting live from our studios here at 16 Lucas Avenue in Kingston. 331-9255 is our call-in number. In the studio here with me is Woodstock Town Supervisor Bill McKenna. Good morning, sir.
Greg, how are you doing?
I'm just doing fine and dandy. Good to see you here.
Thank you, thank you.
We are expecting Town Supervisor Fred Costello. And actually, this is the fourth Wednesday, so Mayor Murphy should be popping in.
Have a full
And
house.
is Kevin coming this morning?
And I didn't hear anything differently.
I didn't hear anything differently either. I know Market Basket is closed for the week. Colleen's on vacation.
Uh-oh.
So I hope he's going to Dysings or Terry's.
Well,
he's probably listening right now.
It's a good thing you pointed that out, Lawrence.
Gabby,
I tell you, I look forward to the second and fourth Wednesday of the month.
That's where Gabby ended up going.
Yeah.
Dyson's, that was a
And actually, I just got an email from Gabby yesterday. Kevin can't make the September 8th thing at Old Savannah. Gabby's going to come in his place.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So.
And at 7:30, we've got March Gallagher, and March has been coming the last couple of months into the studio. So, yes, we may have a full house here this morning.
So how are things going up in Saugerties? You guys had the Stallions. They did pretty well a couple of weeks ago.
They won the championship.
Well,
Yes.
congratulations.
And in fact, this evening, the Ulster County Legislature is going to be up there presenting the pride of Ulster County.
Wow.
I believe Senator Hinchy's office is also going to be joining.
Very nice.
And it was quite a year for them.
Good for them.
And we very successful first time we had hosted the American Legion New York State Baseball Championships, and that went off extremely well. Mother Nature cooperated that weekend. We had
It's nice when that happens.
4 games on Saturday, 4 games on Sunday, so there's no wiggle room for rain.
Right.
And it was a 5-day tournament, and for the most part, Saturday night into Sunday we got some, and we had tarped the field, so we were in pretty good. We were in pretty good shape.
So 4-4, was that 8 teams or 16 teams? How many teams were altogether?
Would have been eight teams.
Okay.
Yeah, eight teams competed from different parts of the state. They obviously had to win their regional championships.
Right. So this was, I'm sorry, the state
Yeah, this is
on state level. Okay.
Yeah, first time we had it in Saugerties. Actually, the first time it's been in the eastern part of New York State.
Oh, wow.
Traditionally, it's Buffalo. The furthest east they've ever been is Utica. And
Wow.
we've got an agreement through 2025.
Every year through 2020?
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations. That's
So-
a testament to the quality of the fields.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's a testament to what my team does.
Right.
A lot of times that just goes unnoticed. You got the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
In Woodstock. I mean, it's not me. And it's not you. You gotta have a good team in place. But without that, you're nothing.
I say that all the time. I get, you get a pat on the back. I says, it's not me. It's the employees. It's the team.
And I don't know how many times throughout that state tournament, opposing coaches would come up to me, and I would point over to them and say, "That's who you need to be thanking. That's who you need to compliment."
Yeah.
And that's the way, we've talked about this many, many times on the radio show. I know I've harped on it for years, is that working together as a team, it breeds success. When you don't work together as a team, you're not successful.
Absolutely.
And you don't have successful outcomes.
Murph, they take
Wow, look at this here.
Full house.
Talk about heavyweights. We got the Mayor Murphy from Saugerties walking in, and right with him. Let me guess, Murph was your chauffeur this morning?
No. We're in tune. We're in tune. We pulled in at the same time.
I just got to step out and make a quick phone call.
All right.
Take care of business.
Fred Costello, town supervisor, just joined us from Saugerties. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning on a beautiful morning.
Yes, it is.
Pretty spectacular
Got my
sunrise.
reminder too. I was waiting for you to send me a reminder last night. You didn't.
Yeah, I forgot all about
I
it.
was going to send you one.
Bill Murphy, Village of Saugerties mayor. And Bill McKenna, and I were just talking about the State American Legion Baseball Championships, and look at this, wearing the shirt.
We are in tune today.
Yeah.
Walking in together, we got the shirt done for the relevant topic.
Tonight we
We're
got
doing
the
okay.
county's recognition of the Stallions tonight at 6, right?
Right, Pride of Ulster County. I just mentioned that.
Get another shirt tonight. I heard we're all getting church tonight.
Oh, for the yeah.
For Stallions.
I got mine up there.
Oh,
I went to the game.
I was in Dominican Republic when the Stallions were winning.
That's right. You were.
Oh, you were away. That's right.
And then the following week I was in Myrtle Beach, taking my daughter back to college. So I was gone. I was away 16 of the first 18 days of August. But it was good.
Wow.
It was good.
That's a pretty good run.
It was a good run. I mean, first time I've been out of town probably in 2 years, so it was good. It was good to get away, but now back home to reality.
Yeah.
So catching up on a lot of stuff.
Interesting welcome home with all the rain.
Yep, absolutely. Actually, our last day in Myrtle, it rained. When we flew out of there, it was raining, and we flew into the rain.
Oh, yeah, the
Pretty
storm
much
was
we got
chasing
home.
you. Yeah. I had a nice visit at the Orpheum.
That was great. We had a sneak peek at the Orpheum Sunday, Fred and I.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, right now it's gutted, but their plans are very exciting.
I see they put up on their marquee board a couple days ago.
That is for the filming that's going on. What's taking place at the high school right now.
Yeah.
They'll be at the Orpheum next week, so that's the film crew temporarily fixing the marquee for the filming.
But why go Stallions?
They put that. I don't know. They actually asked us when I was in Dominican. Said, "Hey, can we?" I remember they were texting Kevin and I and said, "Hey, can we put something for the Stallions?" You were on that text too. Remember?
Oh yes, yeah.
And for some reason they put that up yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah, yesterday or the day. Yeah, I think it was just yesterday.
But it might be in relation to the film, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, could very well be.
That was some setup they had at the high school yesterday. Oh my!
Yeah, I saw that.
My daughter and her friend got parts as extras, and they were there from 7 in the morning till 10 at night
for a 10-minute shoot. 10-minute shoot. It's
pretty extraordinary.
And you go into the high school, you like walking into the gym, you won't even recognize the gym.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And the trailers, and I was talking to the production.
The catwalk that they built, that's what really amazed me, and it just, the colors that blended it right in.
A couple of guys were at my office yesterday. The same guys I think you've been on copy with, Tim and those guys, and he came to my office yesterday, and they checked out the Donald, they might utilize the Donald now, and but it was just neat. Like he's telling me they had like 4 huge air conditioning trucks up there pumping air into the school to air condition. My wife was there for a meeting last night. She said the school was freezing. And but it's some production they got, and, and it's pretty exciting. They're going to be here for quite a long time through the spring.
Yeah.
So and this guy was telling me yesterday, all these people, these actors, these workers, they're all renting houses, staying in Sorgaties. I mean,
there's a couple hundred people on
there daily.
People,
yeah.
Working. It's
and they're going to be here through April.
Yeah.
And where's the production company at? The city?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. They're affiliated with HBO.
HBO. This is an HBO.
Okay,
program.
yeah, that's right.
And they had that, and they had their big staging area up where the old KTB used to be.
You wouldn't recognize the inside of that building either.
Yeah.
That's a full blown film studio now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, it's a good hidden secret that's taking place in Sorgaties right now. And again, this is a major, Pretty Little Liars that, not our generation, but our kids' generation, the big show on HBO.
Sure.
So it's quite a buzz around town. I mean, I think like next week they'll be shooting on Main Street next week at the Orpheum. And I know they got a lot of the locations. They did a lot of scouting. They actually wanted to start last year, I believe. And then because of COVID, it got delayed. And then in April, they contacted Freddie and I and said, hey, we're coming back. And they're pretty excited about being in Sorgaties. And
good.
I was talking to the production assistant yesterday. Like, he rented a house for the next year, and other people are renting houses and finding places to stay. There's not all of them are staying in Sorgaties. They're staying some Sorgaties, I think some Woodstock, some in Hudson. They're all around the area, but it's a great boost to the economy.
It's pretty amazing. And I know the lumberyard is doing cartwheels because they're buying material out of there like crazy. Yeah. We talk about the economic multiplier all the time.
Yep.
The scale of this is something we haven't seen in a long time.
I think it's just a sign of things to come. I think
too.
And the rest, again, it's going to trickle down to the restaurants, every place, with hotels, and I think, good thing it's off season from baseball now because it'd be tough getting hotel rooms probably. I think the timing was very good with it.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? I don't know, but they seem to be really nice guys. They're very,
They're all very professional and thoughtful.
I've been dealing with an Elizabeth Moy. I don't know if either one of you said they actually rented Mosier Drive for parking.
Oh, okay.
And then I can't think of the other one that had reached out.
Tim Howard, the guy we've been dealing with a lot. Tim Howard and one.
I don't think it was him. I don't know. I'm not
he's
sure.
Like location.
Yeah, I think he works on that. We regularly get we see requests for houses to use, and there's a number of houses in the Berkeley Heights area that have been part of filming, and not just for the Pretty Little Liars. There's a number of other independent and some,
stuff going on.
Yeah, going on
It's
too.
incredible the amount of activity coming.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we regularly see in Woodstock, most of them are smaller budget independent films, but upwards of 10, 15 films a year. And not the same budgets that you guys are talking about right now with this one, but still, that all adds up.
It adds up, yeah.
And they're all
pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's like, just everything. Like they need an electrician because they want to change the streetlights out for one of the shoots, and Murph, just get us an electrician. We'll take care of it. We'll pay him.
Yeah.
Find us a local electrician that can help us out. And just things like that. It's like you said, the trickle down effect. It's so we got a few calls out because it's going to be an inconvenience for some residents. And I think you're on the email. I said, listen, I'm for all this and I support it. Just please communicate when you're in residential neighborhoods. Just please communicate to the residents, ahead of time what's going on.
That's all.
With parking.
What's been your experience so far? Because overwhelmingly, residents have kind of enjoyed the novelty of it. But I imagine at some point there's going to be a tolerance for pain where they're going to start to be annoyed.
We haven't really gotten to the point where there's been much pain. There are two films. One was a Jane Fonda film, the Love, Peace, and something or other. I can't remember the name right now. And that they were filming right in town, so that created some backing up. And 2 or 3 people out of, literally 2 or 3 people. We had one last year where we got a little bit of traffic, and that was...
that was when they filmed by the pharmacy.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really cool, though.
It was really cool.
By coincidence, I happened to drive through.
And that all happens within maybe 24 hours. They went from, wanting to do one little thing to saying, oh, my God, this is great. And they spent almost the day there, and they had 15, 20 old cars.
Car show.
Yeah, it looked like, it really was. So that one, I probably got a couple more calls on that one for the traffic, but I think everybody, they were just a little annoyed that there wasn't a lot of notice. And it happened. It was a Saturday. It wasn't a real busy Saturday, so we lucked out there. But
I know, like, because next week they're going to be on Main Street, and they want to utilize John Street, Irving Place, and Washington Avenue for parking for their production vehicles and all that. And I said, that's fine. I said, but, I asked them to send, deliver a letter to each resident in those areas to notify them what's going on. I mean, that's the best we can do, because they asked me for no parking signs. I gave them about 50 no parking signs. They're going to put them up as they need them. And I know poor Joe Mueller's moving next Wednesday from his house on the corner. And they need Irving Place. I said, well, you can't have this section because Joe needs his moving van there. And, you got to coordinate. But communication's everything.
Yeah, so far so good.
Communications is a key to everything. And I did not mention Bob Circasano is going to be calling in at 7:15, which is in just a few minutes. So while I have this minute here for our listeners who regularly either read Hudson Valley One, this just blows me away that this continues to happen. And now we record all of our town board meetings because we're doing it virtually. Inaccurately, I was quoted as saying at the town board meeting that we were successful in obtaining a grant for the air-cooled chiller. That was not the case. I did not say that. I said I had reported we had filed for 2 CFA grants and hoping we're going to be successful with both of them. So how that got misconstrued, who the heck knows?
For those of you who are celebrating, hopefully we'll be doing it later this year.
Hopefully we'll be doing that later. And they also quoted me stating with the ice arena, as I was mentioning about the challenges with staffing, which everybody is going through, that traditionally we are just open for private ice and a little bit into the evening. And now we're going to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I was quoted as we were open from 10:30 to 5:30 or some silly, ridiculous thing like that. And it just continues to and that's why I told you a number of years ago, I don't buy newspapers. I don't look at newspapers. I mean, how,
It's amazing how many times I've been quoted on something I was never interviewed on.
I know, but what I can't understand is how you can get and print that information, okay, that was just totally so far off base.
I hear it's the editor's faults.
That's what I'm always told. It's the editor's
It's
fault.
the editor.
I was quoted while I was Wayne Dominican.
I emailed the editor asking for a phone call, and that was on Monday, and still no response.
That's exactly the thing I always get. So I emailed the editor now. I said, well, you were thrown under a bus. Why does this say this? Well, I mean, it goes back. Think about when I won the election, they put Don Hackett's picture in the paper instead of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I had people call me, Bill, that election, you lost all your hair. No offense, Don. I love Don. We're good friends. He got a chuckle out of it, too. But it was just like, I called him up. I said, I've been the mayor for 10 freaking years. Can you get my picture right?
Unbelievable.
I was like, and of course, like 3 days later, put a correction in. Who cares at that point? And I don't really care.
And the correction's on the back page.
Exactly.
I took that as funny. But I mean, I woke up that morning, I had like 8 texts from people. Do you see the paper? You see the paper? You see the paper? I'm like, what? I'm looking there, and there's Don's picture of my name underneath it.
But this one you can laugh about. There's a lot of stuff they get in there, like this misinformation.
Yeah, it's again, it's just
a bigger pain to deal with.
But okay, I'm done with that. I've done my frustration here a bit.
Bob?
We have Bob Circasano on the line. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we sure can.
Hear you. And congratulations for you gentlemen here in the studio. Bob has been nominated, his dealership, for the Time Dealer of the Year Award, presented in partnership with Ally Financial and in cooperation with NADA. This program showcases exceptional U.S. auto dealers and their vital community involvement. Congratulations,
Wow,
Mr. Circasano.
Yeah.
What that basically, how this works is that Time Magazine every year picks a dealer from the United States in the country, and what they do for New York State, I was picked for New York State.
That's awesome.
So now, March 10th and 11th, on my wife's birthday, we have to go to Las Vegas, and we compete against the 45 other dealers that also got selected, that were nominated for the Time Dealer magazine. So that's a front cover type thing. It's quite a deal. It's quite a deal. There's a lot of there's money that the winners get that they could put in their own foundation, or they could select another foundation. But there's a lot of involvement, and it's a big deal for me. But the main reason why I'm calling it is, of course, of what we got going on Friday night with Diaz. And as you know, I know all you guys got your tickets, and thank God you do, because we are basically sold out. There's a chance I may have maybe a couple that may be coming back because these people cannot, for some reason, they can't make it this Friday night. But there's a strong possibility of that. But this thing starts off at 6 o'clock. You know, we're going to have over 350 people there. It's going to be as big as it gets. We have Mike D'Amico, who's a local musician who plays worldwide. We'll be doing cocktail hour at 6 o'clock, and we have our famous Mike Spears, our local comedian, that's going to be performing, and of course, Ian Flanagan will be performing. So we're all excited, and we're going to finish the night off with the Grit Gang. That's a local band that will be playing right up till 11 o'clock. So, we got some. We're going to have auction items off. I got about 5 or 6 items that are going to be auctioned off. But it's going to be an exciting night, and I think the weather looks looking pretty good so far.
Everybody's looking forward to this. There's no surprise it's sold out. It was something we couldn't do last year, and it's been a really successful and fun end of summer event for the 3 or 4 years you did it prior to. So I really feel like everyone is excited and looking forward to it. And I was with Larry yesterday for a little while, and I saw the tents going up.
Yeah, they're up. The whole place is tented. We'll be ready. We'll be over there tomorrow. We'll be setting up the tables, and we got to put up 45 tables, and it's going to be really nice. I tell you, with the help of my brother being one of the major sponsors, and Ward Backus and Chris from the petition. He's done an outstanding job, and how much he's participating is unbelievable. He's taken a great part of it, and I thank all these people and for making this happen. I believe this could be my probably my 5th year that I've done this, but it's always been doing very well, and I've been very happy with the results. So I'm looking for a great time, and I want to thank Ian Flanagan for taking his time to come back to Saugerties. As you know, I believe he's performing at the Dutchess County Fair this week, and I spoke to him the other day, and he's really grateful of all the good things that's happened to him, especially all the cheering that he got from our hometown Saugerties and surrounding areas. So I know he's excited. Everybody's excited. I know I'm excited. It's going to be a spectacular evening.
And that event sold out quicker than in any other year, if I'm stating correctly. I think it was 3 weeks ago I had announced it on the radio, and then you had texted me that it was sold out.
Yeah, we did, and we all know why. Is because Ian's there, and then Mike Spears. Everybody loves. He's a local guy. I've had him 2 other times at my events, and he's done a spectacular job, and he's looking forward to it. So.
And also with the fact that all the proceeds are going to Diaz Ambulance, they do such a great job, and they rely on this heavily.
Yes, we do. As you know, I'm happy to say I'm on the board of Diaz, and we had to purchase a new ambulance, and I know Freddie knows that, and also our mayor knows that, and then we had to put an addition on, that little addition probably cost us. I think it cost us over $100,000. Wow. And the timing that we did is when everything just tripled up. We couldn't get trusses. We couldn't get this. We couldn't get that. But right now, I could say it's completed. Everybody's happy. We're just about there. So, and now with the way our town's growing, we have to grow with it. So, we're probably looking someday to order another crew, so that's going to be a lot of money. we have to get new radios. That's just thousands of dollars, and this is why we do that. So by having this fundraiser, we're able to do these little things that we really need. So it always works out well, and the results that we get from the village, the people who live in our community, the people who come, the people who make donations, it's just tremendous. It seems like a year that all the fundraising that's been going on, I know the ones that I've been involved with, the results have been just endless. It's just been super.
And that's a pretty long list of fundraisers. I know you helped the Ark. You were a big help to Hope Rocks, and they put together a nice event. And Ian has been really generous with his time, especially this month of August. He was a headliner at Hope Rocks a week ago as well.
He has, and again, he's a great guy. He loves giving back, and he feels this is one way he could definitely give back for all the people that helped him through his time through his California tour with The Voice. But he's a great guy.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah,
you've had it was fun all summer. Starting with the car show. I think we got a little bit of rain, but that was successful by any measure. And you really embraced the rain. It was fun to watch you out there, and you didn't care that it was raining at all. You just enjoyed the day. But you were able to help a lot of folks. And one of the projects we've worked on for a while, the reconstruction of the Sargis Animal Shelter, I know the car show really gave them a leg up. And your generosity was appreciated for that effort as well.
I know. Well, my daughter Macy, she's on the board of that, at the fundraising part, and they're doing one event after another event, and that's working very well. And I think are they planning on breaking ground next year?
Yeah, we may actually start clearing land this year before the weather gets bad.
Yeah,
late fall, because we're close. We're looking like a $2.1 million project, and they've raised about 1.9.
Right.
So we're really closing the gap on that, which is exciting.
I know one of my salesperson, Eric Sasso, came up with he's donating so many dollars per car that he sells. I know last year we were happy to say that he gave them a check for over $5,000, which was nice.
Yeah,
because he's an animal lover, just like most people in my dealership, including my daughter's got 2 dogs. She had 3, and they each month every car they sell, they set aside money to give to the shelter. So it's been awesome.
That's a very nice gesture on their part.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are looking forward to this new shelter. With the blocks that they're selling, they're doing good. But it seems like whenever anything that happens in our community, and I think Bill could agree with this too. Look what they did with the memorial for Jack Rose and all responders. I ride by there every time. I pull over, I look at it. It's beautiful. It absolutely fits right in. It belongs with the Veterans Memorial there. It's just a super add to the complex.
It really is.
Yeah, that actually turned out much better than I would. When you try to envision something, one thing you always want to be very, very careful of is that you don't go ahead and do something and then it looks like it's out of place.
There, right?
But boy, everything that's there, the way they designed that, the way they laid it out, they didn't hit a home run with it. They hit a grand slam.
No. It is perfect.
Well, and all this ties into why what we talked about before, why these film companies and other places are coming here, because they see what our communities have to offer and just the whole feel of our community. I mean, really, just where we are now from 10 or 15 years ago is amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Very fortunate. A lot of, thanks to many people like this guy on the radio here, Mr. Circonsano. I mean, we're fortunate to be able to do the things we do, and that's what makes our community special.
Absolutely.
Without question.
We have a lot of good people.
We got a lot of good players in town. A lot of good players.
We do.
Well, I know we're coming to the end of the hour, and so I'm going to say thanks for everything, guys. You do a great job. I'm always there for KCR.
All right, thank you.
We know that. Thank you very much, Bob.
Bye-bye now.
That's quite an honor for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huge.
That is quite an honor. That's a pretty big honor.
Some recognition.
I probably should have asked him. I hope, being that it's his wife's birthday. He said it was his wife's birthday, right? She doesn't pull the plug and say, "No, we're not going there. I want to go here."
Pretty sure Shelley found a way to be entertained.
She usually makes all the decisions there.
They'll find a way.
She's probably listening.
Yeah. So good for them, though.
Yeah,
I
Las
hope they
Vegas
win it,
isn't
but
bad.
what an honor just to be part of that and get that
And
recognition.
you know what? Who
across the
knows?
country.
Who knows? You never know.
What else do you have to do to earn that title, though? You know, there isn't a charitable event that happens at Sorgeties without Sawyer Motor supporting in some way, and they're kind of, Jack Rose's memorial really gelled when Bob stepped forward and assisted with the fundraising, and once that they stepped forward and were willing to do that, it gave her credibility, and everybody realized this was going to be something. It wasn't just an idea floating around, and being there that day when it was unveiled, I think was a special moment for a lot of folks, and I hope it was. I'm sure it was meaningful for Bob and his family to be there when it was unveiled. But Greg, you see it every day too. Someone's always stopping and walking in there, and
or they sit. Or
Yeah.
they just go in there and sit.
Quietly sit.
Yeah.
You know what I loved about the ceremony the most, and is that none of us and no dignitary spoke. It was about the
Well, you should have
memorial.
been, yeah.
You know, and because I get that, I'm sitting there, do we have to speak today, Fred? He's like, I don't know, and I'm like, and I'm just so glad, people don't go to these things to hear us speak.
No.
No. And Stan emceed it fantastically. It was perfect. It really was. It was one of my favorite moments as mayor, I think, that day.
It is a shame that people feel like they have to put us up there, that it's an obligation, because I agree with you. The more we can stay, keep our distance.
The less we're heard, the better. I mean, no, seriously.
No, I agree.
There's time and place to speak.
Yes, there is, and that's not one of them.
That wasn't one of them, and I thought it was so classy that it was totally non-political.
I agree.
Michelle was there, Pat was there, none of us spoke. Freddie, none of us got up. And Teague was there, and
Congressman was there, Delgado, and
it wasn't about any of us. And that's what it should be.
It was really a special moment for the Rose family and the Winters family, and it was just nice to share that little bit of time with them.
Absolutely, yeah. Nice, Gary's. I think Gary hugged me like 3 times. He's just a good guy.
He's the best.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's such a good guy, and he's just, him and I've gotten very close friends the last year or two, and it's somebody I'm privileged to call my friend.
Yeah,
I drive by, see him on a porch, get the big wave.
He's a special guy.
Now I got to fix the sidewalk, but that's okay. And we're gonna fix it, Gary, in case you're listening. I promise.
His yard looks great, though.
Oh my God, he motivates me. Like I see something he did on his porch or his yard. I'm like, okay, I got to do that.
You got to copy that.
I do. I tell him. I say,
Does he live near you?
Yeah, he lives right across from Mickey's Igloo. Corner there. He's got the big porch, beautiful porch.
Yeah. I didn't know he lived there.
Probably the nicest porch in the village, or maybe second nicest to mine. But it's a little I said, Gary, you got to come over and see my porch now. And but I always tell him, I see what you do in your porch and give me ideas from my front porch.
We are at the bottom of the hour. We will be back in a few, listeners and viewers, with March Gallagher.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Swimming pools are great for family fun, and Central Hudson wants you to play it safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Keep pushing them every time.
Thank you very much, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners who have been with us, and those just joining us. 331-9255 is our call-in number, and we would love to hear from you. We have a full house here in the studio. Supervisor Fred Costello, Town of Sorgeties, Supervisor Bill McKenna, Town of Woodstock, and Sorgeties Village Mayor William Murphy.
Morning.
So before our guest shows up, I do have one quick announcement. September 18th, the ladies' auxiliary for the Hibernians are going to have their fourth annual lasagna dinner. And for tickets, they're $15 for adults. There's also going to be a raffle and baskets. You can call Pam or Chrissy Boyle at 679-2113, extension 12. And I do believe that it's their Mom Rose's secret recipe for the lasagna. It's a great meal and for a good cause. So you can reach them there. Thanks.
And
perfect timing.
Yes, that was perfect timing.
How is everybody today?
March Gallagher, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Always happy to have you.
We've got a couple supervisors in the house today, huh?
Full today, yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah, it's rare. We haven't had a full studio in, probably 2 years.
I don't think we've had a full studio since moving here.
Oh, yeah, the new location. Yeah. Well, let's live it up. Who knows how long it'll last? Sorry to be the bearer.
Be a little bit optimistic
for a week. Yeah. Actually, you're not far off base. I mean, I don't know what you guys have done, but we've gone back to masks in the building, and we did have a town board meeting where we thought we might have a crowd, so we really limited the chairs and the folks coming in the building. We're at that point again.
We're back to live meetings too, right?
Everybody had to.
I went back August 1st. August, I went back to live meetings.
Yeah.
Or July, yeah.
Yeah, I think we all had to go back.
Had to when that executive order expired. But I think so we were talking, Bill and I had this conversation yesterday. We're going to try to motivate the new administration to allow for remote meetings again. Bill and I are both experiencing volunteers who serve on planning boards or advisory boards struggling to go to the meetings because they feel like they're exposing themselves.
They're afraid, right?
Yeah.
And, and I get the open meetings law. I mean, it's a really good law. It's important. It creates transparency and involvement, but it's the 21st century.
Right. I think we need better technology. It would be really great to see some assistance for municipalities to upgrade our technology in a substantial way, and guidance and, technical support, because there are some things I've participated in where we've had better participation with remote.
All our remote meetings were better. We had more folks coming out, paying attention. It was easier to manage. It wasn't unruly.
It actually seemed less confrontational.
Yeah,
people were nicer. It's like my meetings were great for a year online,
Right.
I mean, there are some things you can't see and do in a remote meeting, and that is missed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it is nice to see the interaction between people. There's a whole bunch of work that happens kind of off sides, just bumping into community members in the hallway and getting a chance to catch up, and that doesn't happen. But I'd like to see some ability to keep some things remote. Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Or even some
hybrid,
or some type of hybrid. Somewhere in between.
I tried it with the first meeting and put on the WebEx, and it's just too difficult because they couldn't. The WebEx in the room wouldn't show the person who was on WebEx, everybody in the room, and it was just. Like you said, there's got to be some better technology where we can incorporate.
Right, where you can see every board member's face, and then the community has the ability to participate in a full way during the portions that are public participation. Yeah.
So we just bought, and part of the stimulus money was what motivated us to do that, a camera system that we copied off of the Centerville Firehouse. And the camera pivots like an owl's head. And actually, the brand we bought is actually called the Owl, and it turns, and it's voice sensitive. Yeah, and it's dramatically improved things. We're still figuring it out a little bit, but this is promising at least. And I think if we can find a way to mount it safely and leave it set up, I think it will provide an opportunity to dramatically improve the hybrid meetings and still use a platform like WebEx or Zoom or Teams or one of them, and still have a productive meeting and give. Because Bill's point is right on. Either the experience on WebEx was good for all the people that participated that way, or the people in the room had a good experience, but it was really hard to meld the two. So we had occasions where, as being present in the room, we had this wonderful presentation and we enjoyed it and we saw the slideshow and we're just reading the comments online and no one can see and no one can hear. It was really...
Does anyone else have this moment? Like I was away last week on vacation and all of a sudden I just had this moment where I realized it's been 18 months of this crap and it's still happening. I thought we were going to be through it. What's going on?
It said to me yesterday, can't believe we're back to where we were a year ago.
Isn't this going to end soon? I mean, and not really. At the beginning of the pandemic, I kind of said to myself, okay, 2022. That's the way pandemics go. It takes a couple of years. But just that frustration, especially in terms of childcare and having to maybe face the possibility of more remote learning this year, and families. I don't know. You guys all have family. People who work for you with young families. It's very challenging, and I could just see on my staff's face as we talk about what the fall's going to bring. Oh no, not another year of this. So
this spike in the Delta has really kind of reset the clock. This week I've had a number of people that we've sent out for testing and told them they couldn't come back to work until we know whether you're positive or not, because they've had direct exposure through a family member.
We made every family member test before our vacation. That was our solution. Even that, I feel like you don't know. Okay, great, we test. Then I go for a walk on the boardwalk and I breathe somebody else's breath.
But you're you go to the grocery store. Inevitably, you're in a building with 400 people.
Well, and 20% of your brain at all times is taken up by this COVID stuff, especially people in positions of leadership like all of you guys. And so, how much is that costing us just on a day-to-day basis in terms of
other stuff getting
missed? It's very hard to focus. So there's a huge cost to that.
That's a really good point, and you're right, because I was feeling an anxiousness, and that's it, what you just said, because we spend half a day chasing a COVID test.
Chasing a COVID test, advising your staff, counseling somebody, preparing your kids. It's whoa,
Compared to a year ago where it was probably taking up 80%.
Right, 85.
Definitely better.
So it's better, but it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
We didn't have to deal with it at all.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting, just on the numbers, we're doing very well. I mean, we're going to close out 2021, I think, also with substantial surplus, even without ARP money. Sales tax is rolling in very well, and I expect us to blow by not just this year's budget, but what we had budgeted last year, which was, substantially more. And there's an agreement, when we signed the sales tax agreement, there was sort of an understanding that if we blow through the $128 million in revenue there's going to be a conversation about how that should be divided up. Right now it's divided up based on the assessed value of the land in your town. It's not divided up based on population. Those are the two ways that state law allows. It could be divided up on something else. I mean, I know Town of Ulster would love to see it divided up based on sales tax, taxable sales, where they occur, but it's very hard to get that information.
And there's going to be that would be difficult. We only have one car dealership in Saugerties, but our residents all buy cars.
Right.
So
right.
how
Absolutely.
do you equitably
but when you look at the town of Ulster, you have to think like they do bear a special burden being
Absolutely.
the shopping district for the entire county, just in terms of policing, roads, traffic, so I don't know. It'll be interesting. But anyway, we are doing quite well and our revenues are way on track. I mean, even occupancy tax is way above what it was anticipated, even just looking at the beginning of the year compared to last year. So it's pre-pandemic numbers to pre-pandemic numbers, to this year. So I think we have to be thinking about what the long term is going to be, because this feels very temporary to me. I feel like it's all this stimulus money washing around. It's not a real picture of what reality is going to be. And you've seen...
I agree with that.
You've seen some businesses take like a huge hit, and then others are doing great. I can tell you at our family business, we had one of our best days ever in May. And it was like, why May? It wasn't Christmas. It's retail. We're like, what's happening? Yeah, so some folks are doing great, and some businesses have changed their model and are enjoying the new model. Outdoor seating, to go.
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends who are in business, and it's not an even fabric. There's some folks doing well, and they've embraced it, and it's worked out. But they're restrained by lack of inventory or lack of staff or other crazy things that kind of influence their ability to execute their model. And then there's others that this is just devastated, and that devastation continues. And
right.
I don't know, it's certainly not a sustainable economic environment as you go forward. I mean, if you drive past car dealerships, they don't really have inventory right now. And
we're going to see more supply chain issues. I've had a lot of manufacturers sort of say to me, like, we can't get the product we need. Forget about getting the staff to put stuff together. Yeah. We can't actually get the raw materials. Yeah.
So, as you think ahead, car sales are a significant part of sales tax. So if this crisis with computer chips continues for a long enough amount of time, theoretically, car dealers can't sell cars they don't have. That would impact sales tax. So that's the fragility that you pointed to with regard to some of the numbers that are coming in higher than we might have anticipated. But I get nervous looking on the horizon.
I worry about our kids and, next generation. And, even though I'm a Democrat and Democrats love to, apparently provide additional support, which is what you see happening. Part of me wonders, how do we know that we really need it? And I question that, especially, sitting here in the chair that I'm in as the county comptroller looking at our finances. I'm like, do we really need that ARP money? And if we do, why is that? It's not because we have lost substantial revenues. It's not because the costs were so high. So we really need to be investing in things that are going to be preparing for the future.
The conversations I've had with everybody in the leadership role, that there's a sense that there's a responsibility with that money to invest it in ways that will do things that we couldn't afford to do, that will have an economic benefit down the road. And I've talked to Bill about what his plans are, and Mayor Murphy as well. And we're all of that mindset. We're certainly just don't want to, have a party, so to speak. We're looking for opportunities that were aspirational.
I saw that Sullivan County is using some of their ARP money to give hazard pay to county employees. And I was just like, oh, that would never fly in Ulster. There is no way the people that elected me would be happy to see us paying extra money to county employees for the time they did show up. I can't imagine that. I was surprised. Have any of you considered that?
Yes.
And are you going to do it?
We discuss. Well, in the context of this, so if you inventory the workforce last year, when town hall was shut down, we put a number of employees on work share programs.
Right.
So those, because of the stimulus money, those employees ended up with an economic benefit. Their annual income was marginally higher because they got that extra stimulus money. But then if you extend that out, our police department, not only did they have to work, they had to work in an augmented situation where we were forcing on them cleaning cars, doing work separation, not being together, working in remote locations. Greg's staff, those folks were divided into a schedule where they didn't have interaction, and we left them with the responsibility to clean the buildings and help support the other departments. So those folks, not only were they we asked them to continue to work. We asked them to work in a situation that wasn't normal or consistent with the schedule that they worked before.
Okay, well, that seems like more of a justification. Sullivan County's was too broad for my liking and sort of included everybody at the top. So
everybody at the top?
Everybody, I should say. Everybody, yeah.
And I don't like this language because it implies, but some departments, in an effort to keep everyone safe, ended up with free time off. I don't like that language because it has a connotation, but
that's what it was, though.
It kind of was.
That's exactly what it was. Is free time off.
Yeah. So when you look at the employees that didn't get any of those benefits, and you tell them, "Great, thanks. Here's a pat on the back," that might ring hollow. So I think they're.
See, my take all along, as you know, Fred, was obviously if you had the opportunity, which we're fortunate that we had, to have literally 4 different reporting areas throughout the complex, and then also town hall, and then basically 3 different work shifts.
To keep people separate.
I believe back where with the essential employees, there was that recommendation, or it might have been a mandate, that you had to be at 50% or less. We operated pretty much on a daily basis in the 30s. Maybe there might have been 1 or 2 times we hit 40%, 41%, but it never went any higher than that. So if you were afforded that opportunity to be able to function and continue what had to be done, and then also everything that went along with the pandemic, with the additional cleaning, the sanitizing, some of the investments we made with UV lighting, et cetera. I just feel that there was a responsibility and an obligation, not only to other employees in the other buildings that we maintain, but also to the taxpayers. Because, you may not like the verbiage, but that's what it was, where departments did not take advantage of that. It was free time.
We were just looking at the cost of shutting down. There was a snow day. There was a snow emergency declared. I think it was back in February. So there was no work that occurred that day. $200,000 it cost the county to shut down for a day, meaning we're spending $200,000 of just money for nothing.
Non-productive.
Yeah,
day.
Exactly. So I don't like snow days anymore.
No,
Work from home. I don't like snow days.
So Woodstock did it last night. We passed.
did?
We passed a pandemic bonus. And all the employees will get something. I felt very strongly about it because I don't want to speak to other towns, but we never shut the doors. Our highway department didn't get any time off at all. The police, dispatch, our town clerks issued double the amount of licenses. We still have people coming up. There were 2 couples from Brooklyn yesterday because they, can't get them down there. And it was just, a little bit of a thank you. Back to them, and I felt good about it. I think it was a good way to spend some of that money, not all of it.
I think we really have to discern what extra work was created, because I know, for example, that in our Department of Public Works there was a lot of extra work pushed onto people, and that wasn't consistent across the board. So it's really department by department, and then when you really start to do that at the county level, it's going to upset people. So I think it's going to be complicated.
It's going to be complicated, and I think there's not one size that fits all.
No, absolutely not.
And comparing town of Woodstock or town of Saugerties to
Can't.
the county of Ulster, it's not apples to apples. It's a grape to a pumpkin.
It's a grape to an apple to a pumpkin.
To a raisin. Because honestly, like my village, we were closed down. We did split shifts, time off, whatever, like free time if you want to call it. And I mean, honestly, I equate my village staff probably to Greg's staff at the park as far as total size. I have 9 DPW guys, 5 wastewater, 4 water, 3 in the office. So I don't know. I mean, and plus, obviously, the amount of money we got in the village is, again, raisins compared to grapes and oranges, So I don't know if I can do that or not. I don't know if I think everybody got equal time off. So that's how I look at it.
We ended up with disparities. And to the degree that we can identify those and assign a value, we're going to try to to meet that. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it.
Was yours across the board, Bill, or were there
No, it was
differentiation?
there was a different. It was prorated. I can share that. With
Yeah, I'd
you
love to
guys. I
see
have
it.
A little bit more detail.
I mean, luckily that complex decision will not be in my hands. I'll just be making sure it was spent in accordance with the decision.
I won't tell you it's easy, and I know there's residents listening that they suffered too, and they didn't.
Resolution and the breakdown.
These folks weren't eligible for a lot of the programs because they were gainfully employed, and they just were left behind all of it. And we asked a lot of them. Bill, Greg, and I did. How many meals did we distribute?
Over 30,000.
Over 30,000. And to be honest, there's members of Greg's staff.
Well, that's it. Exactly.
Just wouldn't have been possible without it. And when we did our vaccinations, there's members of Greg's staff again that stepped forward, and the police department
That's not in anybody's
couldn't have
job
done it without them.
description.
I had
It was
this
nowhere in their job description.
Exactly.
We asked for help, and they stepped forward, and we can't forget that.
So, and I had the same thing. We did a shopping program where we had volunteers and town employees going out and picking up groceries for folks. We were delivering the meals. I had my youth director spent 6 weeks. How long that program? 8 weeks delivering meals, and everybody just whatever we needed, they stepped up. Yeah. Town clerks over at the vaccine clinics when that started, and none of them were vaccinated
at the time
at this point.
Right.
So there was never any arguing. There was never, I think we were all a little scared in varying degrees and concerns, but we
did what we needed to do.
Yeah, they did what they needed to.
Remember, you guys were vaccinated even ahead of us, and you weren't vaccinated at the time when we were doing it.
The clinics, right.
Our first clinic was in early January.
That's because they stole Neil from us.
We had Neil,
Neil had stayed in surrogacy, so we would have had them.
That is true. He is, and he made that very clear when we gave him the key to the city.
But I will say this: when we did our first vaccination at Sorgady's High School, which was quite a feat that Neil undertook.
I was there.
Bill and his wife were there because they had done it before, and they had all the tips and all the shortcuts. I believe we have a caller. We got a caller? Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Brian Waltman calling in. How you doing?
Good morning.
Morning.
As it relates to ARPA and the interim final rule, there are many regulations as it relates to the disposition of the use of this money that's being sent. And along with the package, I believe all the supervisors probably got this. There's a frequently asked questions memo. And number 30 of the question is, the question was, may recipients provide premium pay retroactively for work already performed? And by the way, this is a document issued by the Department of the Treasury. And the answer to that is very simple. It's yes. Treasury encourages recipients to consider providing premium pay retroactively for work performed during the pandemic, recognizing that many essential workers have not yet received additional compensation for their service during the pandemic. So I would disagree with the Comptroller's view on this and submit an argument that many of these people were essential workers. They were going to work every day when all the notice was saying to stay home and do not leave your home, shelter in place, remain quarantined. A lot of workers did not have this opportunity afforded to them, and the Department of Treasury has this as an approved use of the ARPA funds. So I think that's something that I would congratulate any of the supervisors or any local government that is using some of this money to compensate their essential workers who perform their duties every day in heroic fashion. And
Brian, hi. I think you are an essential worker, isn't that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so really my differentiation is that I saw staff able to work from home. And people who were able to work from home were not experiencing the same conditions that people who could not work from home were. So there has to be a dividing line or a differentiation, in my opinion, between the risks that people took. And I saw the Sheriff's Department and DPW staff taking risks that, frankly, my audit staff, for example, was not taking when we had the ability to work from home. So that's really what I was
I think ultimately you're acknowledging Brian being an essential worker and that he stepped up and had to go the extra mile.
Exactly.
Well, I'm just not making the argument for myself. The statement was made is related to Sullivan County and how that they've chosen to use the money. And I don't know what Sullivan County passed, but I do believe the county has already taken measures to compensate some of their CSEA workers in their new contract as it relates to this. So we got to remember they were essential workers who left their homes when everybody else was being told to shelter in place and quarantine, and they did not have a choice. They went to work every day to provide essential services to the people, and that goes for. And by the way, a lot of private sector companies also have already done this. I know a lot of retailers built into their compensation packages for their employees weekly bonuses that they received all during the pandemic. So for hours that they worked, and it was linked to the hours that they were there in person. So I think essential workers are essential workers, and I think we ought to applaud them even now as we move into maybe hopefully a post-pandemic environment. So anyway, have a great day, everybody.
Ryan, thank you for your call. You have an awesome day.
Okay, bye-bye.
That's the thing with my employees. I mean, since I had such a small crew, my entire crew is essential.
That's how I viewed it.
They were DPW, water, wastewater, office staff, and I have a small crew, and I couldn't. We did rotate where people got time off, but I had nobody that could work from home. Anybody when they had to work had to come in, and this is pre-vaccination and all that. So.
Also, I just want to say, we're really fortunate in Woodstock. Our capital campaign, Jeremy and I started 20 years ago. Almost all of our buildings are done. There's not a lot of capital projects we can do. Our roads and bridges are all in pretty good shape, water and sewer. So there aren't a lot of capital projects. We're blessed. We're lucky. And so, this happens to be a way that we can spend the money, give back. And, I do view it. It is stimulus. So it's getting out to people who are going to spend it and pump it back into the economy. Not every town is as fortunate, and other towns are going to have different priorities.
My one capital project I have pending, which is to do the sewer plant, this won't even put a
dent in it.
Put a dent in it, right?
I think we're getting just under $400,000 over 2 years. My capital project pending one for the sewer plant's $4.8 million. So. That's not even going to do anything for it, I
saw the city of Poughkeepsie had a deficit in 2020 and was blaming the pandemic for that. I don't know. I'd be curious what it was. Yeah, because I didn't notice. We didn't have a lot of municipalities in Ulster with that.
They've been in difficult financial situation for a while.
Yeah.
Yes, they've been digging out of a hole for sure.
That is one of the frustrating parts too. So I think we all spent money last year on shields and cleaners and overtime and this and that and the other thing. We can't. The way I read it, we can't go back past March of this year.
Right.
So, again, there probably are things that I could use the money for that we're not really permitted to. So,
we spent out of our department, when you take into personal services, a little over $150,000 with everything that we invested in, and that's what it was. It was an investment. We just didn't go out and buy plexiglass for all the offices, police headquarters, et cetera. They're very, very attractive. They're very expensive. They're going to stay in place. Obviously, we're not going to, remove them. So that's when you and I had the conversation that you can't go any further back than March.
Right.
But on the other side of the coin, I agree 100% with you. Most of that money should go towards investments that are going to be long-term, that the next generation is going to get to enjoy. Infrastructure, et cetera.
I think
we have too many capital projects. That money won't
don't know which way to swing it.
You had said when you first walked in, we don't have very many capital projects. I'm thinking just how many capital projects we got.
Yeah, and we learned so much from the pandemic. We made a priority to extend the fiber link to our senior center. That's where we host our meetings. And it was really important that we had as good a quality connection as we could possibly get, and that's obviously the best. But that wasn't necessarily something we would have done last year hadn't we had to overcome the pandemic. And,
right. It's forced us to rethink how we do business.
Yeah. We were able, out of opportunity because staff was available, but we were able to create a new entrance into Town Hall to avoid a set of stairs. Right. That was expensive, and the pandemic somewhat created that opportunity because there was staff available to do it. But we weren't able to finish that, so we're going to use some of the pandemic money to help finish that and make it a proper entrance so that people it's architecturally welcoming. It functionally works great, and it reconfigures the entrance to the office on the south end of the building, and it makes it more efficient, and it helps us keep people safe. And really, that's what it's all about, and deliver those services. But as we were talking, I was looking back fondly. Every department found a way to perform their function. I know our clerk staff was running into the parking lot to do dog licenses and issue handicap permits. It was great.
We did our property auction online for the first time. We made more than the back taxes, and that does not happen. That does not happen. So that was definitely a good experience, and I think we'll be doing that going forward.
This pandemic has forced us to rethink and come up with better ideas that really work better all the way around.
Right from the very start, I'd said numerous times, just the way we do things, our best management practices were going to change, and they have, and a lot of them have changed for the better. March, we're over. We're over our limit
time.
here.
You might need an hour.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll
Thanks
be
for
back
having me.
we'll be back with birthdays and Kevin Cahill.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you that summer thunderstorms can strike with strong, gusty winds, knocking down trees and power lines. If you see a downed power line, call 911 immediately to report it. Power lines can carry an electric current strong enough to cause injury or death. Stay at least 30 feet away from a fallen line. Don't try to move it or anything that has come in contact with it. And never drive over a power line. Remember, your safety matters.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Jim Quigley, Supervisor of the Town of Ulster, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Rondout Savings Bank has a long history of serving local communities and maintaining a strong tradition of customer service excellence while providing each customer with the personal attention they deserve. Rondout Savings' approach to community banking puts you and the growth of your business in the front of everything they do. They're a different kind of bank and would like to tell you why, so please reach out to one of their expert business bankers for an appointment and let them show you what they can do for you. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park. Also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
I was close the last time. I let one cry.
Thank you, Lawrence. We are back, and
Bill, watch what you say on air, Bill.
I'll behave.
331-9255 is our call-in number. We'd love to hear from you. Those listeners that have been with us, welcome back. And those just joining us, again, 331-9255. And looks like we have some birthdays, or maybe just one birthday?
One. Uh-oh. So happy birthday to Norma Kratt from your friends at the Girls Night Out Book Club. We've heard from the Girls Night Out Book Club before, I think.
Yes, we have.
They don't really read books.
I'm guessing not. Well, Norma, happy birthday and congratulations.
Yes, because we got nobody else. Norma Kraft, you are today's winner of the famous cow pie. Congratulations. Happy birthday. When you get the opportunity, get down to Boy's Dairy Milk House, 62 O'Neill Street, right here in Kingston, New York, and pick up that famous cow pie, which is courtesy of Boy's Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio. Listeners, viewers, please continue to send those birthdays in. It's very easy to do. You can email to KCR 925, KCR925 at gmail.com. You can postal mail to Kingston Community Radio, P.O. Box 4364, Kingston, New York, 12402. So once again, Norma Kraft, congratulations, happy birthday, have an awesome day, and enjoy that cow pie.
And I did get a text from Assemblyman Cahill, who's a couple minutes late, but he's coming, so.
He probably went to Market Basket, found out they were closed, and then had to go to somewhere else and get sandwiches from somewhere else.
I guess, Lawrence, he wasn't
never comes empty-handed.
He was not listening this morning, I guess.
He probably wasn't.
He missed your announcement.
You got a minute. You want to talk about Volunteer Day?
Yeah, that would be great. You know, we had a great day. This is 17th year, 20th year. I lost track now. It's a great
Pretty
time.
good run.
Yeah, and hats off to Sam Magarelli, who's the spearhead of that and his committee. I don't know how many folks actually showed up, but I know that they just ran out of food. They just had enough.
Perfect.
And, you know, thank you to all the businesses that donated food and made it possible. We also, this was really special to me. We do the Alf Evers Award, which goes to a Woodstock volunteer who's done a lifetime of volunteering. And this year's recipient was a woman named Ellen Povell and her deceased partner, Ruth Simpson. And they were involved, like everyone else who's got it before, in hundreds of different things. But one of the main things for Ellen was taking care of our public access and making sure town board meetings got out on the air. And, you know, every time we have a tech problem, we call her up. So on Wednesday before, I call her up and I said, Ellen, my wife is going to get the award for something I made up. And I said, I really could use you to film it. Would you come and film it? And she says, oh, absolutely, I'd love to. You know, so there she is filming her own award ceremony. That's how dedicated she is. And in years past, we've had to kind of tip the people off a little bit to actually get them there. She had no warning. She was just totally blown away by it all, and it meant a lot to me. So it was.
That's great. That's a good way to highlight.
It was a good feeling. So congratulations, Ellen. I'm sure she's enjoying her award, and of course, Legislator Hepner shows up. They always give out a Pride of Ulster County Award as well. So it was a good day. It's a nice event, and I think the volunteers really appreciate it. But back to what we were talking about before, you know, so many of our volunteer board members, our fire department, they're all
struggling.
Seniors, and you know they're all struggling. I think we had to cancel 1 or 2 ZBA meetings and a planning board meeting in the last month because we couldn't get a quorum.
So one of the things that's driving that is because some of those folks are in at-risk age groups.
Yeah,
I mean, we are technically.
Yeah.
And
yourself.
And
we're getting close.
Yeah. So, well, if you ask my wife about my health practices, I'm at risk of a lot of things. Yeah.
So my wife would say the same thing, probably.
So we are. We're getting feedback from volunteers that are concerned because now the executive order that allowed for remote meeting is expired. They cannot do that anymore. In order to participate in a meeting, you have to be in the room together.
And they think that's our fault.
They do blame us.
Yeah,
and
I get that on a regular basis.
And that work is significant and very important. You know, planning boards and zoning boards, they function as a quasi form of government.
Absolutely.
Approvals that they issue and go through the process for become law. And only a judge could change that.
Right.
And
we had 9 items on our last planning board agenda meeting.
Busy right now. Yeah. That's amazing though, Bill.
It was great. It was, I mean, for a small village, yeah. It's. I mean, some of us back up because of the pandemic, but we had 9 things, and it was like hugely attended by people.
And I'm sure your building departments are all to the wall with permits and inspections and whatnot. I know in Woodstock, it's crazy.
Yeah, they can barely handle the requests we're getting from real estate transactions to prove that the property doesn't have any outstanding violations.
Right.
You know, that's a fundamental part to scheduling and closing to make sure that the building is in good standing. And because of the rate of transactions that's occurring, that could be all they do.
Right.
They have maybe just enough staff to achieve that, but we have near record building activity happening and fire safety inspections that may not have happened because of the pandemic. And just to try to catch up Saugerties is not alone in this. I know you are experiencing
I think
the exact same thing.
Every town in
Ulster. I think we ended up getting our fire safety
inspections caught up. Yeah, I don't think they're quite caught up yet.
We have obviously a much bigger area.
Yeah, we just passed a month ago a moratorium on certain types of development, particularly with the transient motels, hotels, B&Bs, Airbnbs, and also conversion of residential properties to commercial properties. We were losing houses in the middle of town that were serving as, everybody doesn't want to use the word affordable housing, but I don't know what else you call it. Mm-hmm. Reasonable housing for local people.
It's interesting too how things have evolved. Everybody wants to put 4 Airstreams on their property now, but is that a resort? Is that a campground?
Yeah.
What is it exactly? And it doesn't really fit into a nice round peg. And
if you rent out your house once or twice a month for a weekend,
no one will even notice.
That's you're making a couple extra bucks. You start doing it on a weekly basis, that's a business.
Yes.
And it's a business. Most of them are businesses in residential areas.
Yeah.
And incidentally, that's why Airbnb was so quick to work with us when we proposed regulation, because regulation means you're legal.
Mm-hmm.
It was gray in Woodstock. It wasn't even gray. If it wasn't permitted, it wasn't allowed.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's but because traditional definitions of land use are being challenged by the new trends. I understand their motivation for wanting to do a moratorium. You have to kind of reset the clock and put new definitions in.
We
understand.
Now the Ryan Foundation.
Yep.
We can't find what that falls under.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's some people that oppose it for ignorant reasons, in my opinion, and a lot of support for it. And obviously, what Vince and John Mullins and Carol and them are all doing, Carl, it's great. But we're trying to find a proper definition to define what that facility is going to be.
We're seeing the same thing. It's the same with the meetings. Technology is changing so quickly. We're coming up against things that our zoning laws never thought about.
Yep.
I just want to add with the moratorium too. This is not an anti-development effort. This is an effort to try and tweak our laws to encourage the type of development that would best suit the town. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And
Kevin Cahill, our assemblyman, has joined us here, and he's come. He's come in with his hands literally full, bags, boxes. Wow!
I'm easily distracted by any shiny object. And even a breakfast sandwich will do it every time.
Since Kevin got here late, we'll just skip the 8:30 break and go right to 9, and then I'll do the extra commercials then.
Okay.
You're the boss in there.
Yep.
You control the tower.
Kevin, how are you?
Good. I don't want to interrupt. You were in the middle of a thought.
No, I think I finished it. We were talking about moratoriums and developments, and hopefully we have something that comes out at the other end that'll make a better community.
We are doing the same exercise without a moratorium so far, but it's not easy. You have the pressure of new applications constantly coming in, and as we go through the work of the definitions.
Short-term rental?
So our moratorium covered any development of transient lodging, motels, hotels, Airbnbs. Although with the Airbnbs, we have a cap on it, so we've reached the cap. They're not really part of it. And also,
let me ask you, if something goes to, say, VRBO or Expedia or Travelocity, but not Airbnb, does that fit into the cap?
yes. So, it's like Kleenex, tissues. And actually, I'm in a bad habit. We should be calling them STRs, short-term rentals, and that covers all the different platforms.
Then no one knows what you're talking about.
They look at you.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Airbnb.
Yes, Kleenex. You can understand, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, I'm sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Well, you're forgiven.
Colleen took a well-deserved vacation over at Market Basket, so unfortunately, you're going to have to enjoy dicing sandwiches and dicing
What do you mean,
pastries
Did you
today.
hear Lawrence announce?
Just kidding.
My mouth is full.
You don't want to comment on that, huh?
We were commenting about the size of the sandwiches because 2 weeks ago, Gabby went to Dyson.
Oh, she did?
Yes.
Oh, see, she stole my thunder. Oh, well. Anyway, I know Billy had sent me a text off the air to ask me about the idea of continuing with remote meetings. And in between then and not going to Market Basket, I looked it up.
Okay.
And Tom Abenanti and Pete Harcum from Westchester County each have a bill in their respective houses to make it permanent so
Okay.
that you can do it permanently. In addition to that, there are other bills. Rachel May and Amy Paulin, Rachel May, Rochester area, Amy Paulin, also from Westchester, has a bill that would require video broadcast of every single meeting.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if it provides for interaction.
Right.
But it does require, expands the open meeting law to say that you have to have an audio or video broadcast of the meeting. So here's the gamut. You have the current world that says, no, your meetings are in person now. Right. Then you have the possibility of going back to the idea of a remote or a hybrid meeting.
Right.
And then finally you have the requirement that you do so,
Right.
Even though you might still be meeting in person. So it's under consideration. I know it's something that many municipalities have come back, not just here, but across the country. In doing a quick Google, I saw that Lansing, Michigan has asked for it from the state of Michigan.
I'm not surprised.
So, I'm of two minds with it. It's okay if we do it anyway. I mean, we do broadcast our general sessions. We don't yet broadcast our committee meetings, and we should. We broadcast our hearings and we broadcast our general sessions. They are not interactive on purpose. They're active only with the members who are present. When we broadcast a meeting, we have two feeds. We have the Zoom feed that the members of the committee or the members of the assembly participate in, and then we have the general broadcast feed.
Mm-hmm.
And the general broadcast feed does not allow for any interaction. I'm not crazy about that.
No.
We've only had a couple of civil disruptions in the assembly in my history there, maybe 4 times, 5 times.
Right.
But it's the right of the people. It's their house. And how do you do it? What do you do? Go pull the plug on the Zoom? I mean, how do you demonstrate your pleasure or displeasure? Now, we have strict rules in the House that you're not supposed to applaud, you're not supposed to shout out, you're not supposed to do that stuff. And generally, people don't. But we also are human beings, and we see when the room is full that people care about something.
Right.
And when you're on a Zoom, even if, there's 500 people tuned in, yeah, they could be doing their dishes.
Right. And we experienced some of that.
Oh, yeah. Even the members who are supposed to be on the Zoom with you.
Yes.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Where did Joe go? He was there a minute ago.
In the early days, people had no idea that the camera was 2 ways. Right. You have to go to this meeting on Zoom. I won't use a name. It's a colleague, it's a good friend. And the meeting got late into the night, and it got to be around 11 o'clock, and that must have been Scotch hour for him because he just started chugging away and sitting there and kind of scratching his face and doing all kinds of stuff like nobody was watching. And I called him and I said, you're on camera. He said, no, I'm not. You are. I said, no, you are too.
I had one member who, one meeting, I look over, he takes out a cigarette, lights it up on it, and I'm texting him like, you can't smoke on.
You can't smoke in the meeting.
Smoking in your own house.
He's like, but I'm in my own house. I said, it doesn't look good.
That's right. So there have been far worse things that happened, and far more comical things that happened. I think it was some British diplomat was on BBC, and he's talking, and his kids come storming into the room, like chasing each other with toy hatchets and stuff, and then the nanny comes in and like grabs the kids, and like she's trying to grab the door, and the other kid is sneaking under her, and meanwhile the guy is there talking to Lester Holt, and
didn't look good.
Didn't look good.
And I know better, and my wife was teaching Zoom last year, and I always walk in the house and make a grand entrance, right? And my daughters are home from school, so I didn't know my wife was on Zoom with her classroom, and I walk in, and I walk up behind her and go, "What's up?" Oops. And grab her and kiss her.
So what does your wife do for a living now?
Meantime, there's 15 kindergartners going with their eyes like this, going, "Who's that?" She's like, "I'm in class." I'm like, "Oh crap!" So then she got me back. Later in the night, she calls me. Goes, "Guess what?" I go, "What?" She goes, "I just got a text from Kirk, the superintendent, and he wants to see you tomorrow. He's upset with the way you came to my classroom." She goes, "Kirk and I are friends," and I'm like, "He's not mad at me." Well, yeah, I just forgot.
I didn't say there wasn't a learning curve.
So to your point, there's a couple of aspects to it. Number one is there is something to actually gathering, and there's actually an article in the New York Times 2 days ago about whether meetings, just meetings generally, not public meetings,
right,
but office meetings, have we determined that there are too many and that they are unnecessary and disruptive? Almost all employees agree that they spend too much time in meetings. Yeah. And the question is, what happens there? On the other hand, they point out in the article that that there was a gathering of judges and prosecutors and defense attorneys and community activists in some place in one of the boroughs, and they said, how are we going to, stop crime and stop feeling like we're oppressed? And they had to go back and forth, and it was the back and forth and the comfort of being with each other. I will also add this about
absolutely
the assembly session for 2021. 2021 was the first session for probably 25 or so legislators. 1 out of 6 legislators, give or take, were brand new and have never really experienced a full session.
Right.
Have never experienced the going to the lounge and saying, "Hi, how you doing?" Doing a face-to-face, sitting in the conference next to someone, being in the same room with somebody who you vehemently disagree with. And having to maintain your composure. If you're sitting at your dining room table,
yes,
it's your domain. You kind of feel like you can flip somebody the bird, and I'm not making that up.
Right.
It actually happened last year. Somebody was making a comment. It was actually Tom Abenanti, the guy with the remote bill. He was making a comment, and another colleague from New York City did not agree. A freshman, never met him in person. Didn't agree with him, and she just flipped him the bird. And it was in an open meeting. It was as if it was on the floor. And unfortunately, she didn't apologize.
Right.
Now, it happened to me in a real open meeting, and I was the villain. I had a really bad head cold, and the chairman of the committee had really irritated me, and I turned to my friend, and I said a word describing him as part of the anatomy that we sit on. Or near where we sit, and
colorful now. It worked.
Well, I don't want Lawrence to get fined. And the chairman said, "Excuse me," and I was like, "I didn't say anything. I thought I was whispering."
I didn't mean to say it out loud.
Wound up in the Daily News.
Yeah.
And the next day, I just went in and I could not find enough words to apologize. So it happens, but
it does.
This person chose not to apologize because honestly, she felt like she wasn't violating anything since she was in her own home.
Right.
And so that sense of community is lost in the community gathering. That being said, I have a very strong suspicion that the bill that's being proposed by Harcum and Abenanti will be seriously debated. The bill that Paulin and May have that would require broadcasting of meetings, probably not so much because we're not convinced that the technology exists. We are struggling with the technology of how do we do it in our cramped committee rooms, and how do we make it work? Because it's a very complex process. These are robotic cameras that we use in the chamber, and there's 12 cameras. And when one person is speaking, in order to keep from the viewer being distracted, the camera automatically and mechanically goes to that person and nobody else.
Right.
Maybe the people behind them, and we're kind of aware of it now. But there's no way to do that in a committee meeting that's, 12 feet wide and 30 feet long. And so we're still working out that part. And I'm sure we are cognizant of the fact that, there are town boards meetings in town garages.
Right.
They're meeting
runs
next
the
to the
gamut.
lift.
900 towns and villages in the state, and
there are
no two alike.
There are people that are in the process of thinking about how to redo their town hall. And
yes.
When they do, I'm sure that's going to be one of the considerations. But that's not uniform. It's not universal.
No, and not at all.
So technology has come, and this experience has taught us a lot. There's other parts of what we did during early COVID that we really want to revisit. The takeout beverage issue. We almost resolved that last year. We didn't, because the advocates for the bill insisted that it become permanent, and the opponents of the bill were opposed to permanence. They would have been there would have been an acceptance of a limited trial seat, not even, maybe
3.
it's 2, just see what happens. But that didn't pass, but I think it's got a second chance to come back. The remote dining, the dining outside your restaurants, where people have set up things in their parking lots, or in the case of Kingston, every available parking space. And that's going to be looked at again seriously. We're very fortunate here in our community that the chairman of the State Liquor Authority is Vincent Bradley, and he's very accessible to all of us, and we talk regularly. And Vincent's position is just give me the rules and I'll enforce them. But he's a good source to hear where the problems were and where they were not. And it's hard to say that one rule should work for everyone. So, for example, takeout beverages became a serious problem in New York City, not because of anything else other than it started to feel like New Orleans, where people were getting their drinks, walking down the street, open it up, and violating the law, but something they would not have been doing if it wasn't for the takeout beverages. And so some colleagues had their streets turned into party central until 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, even though the drinks stopped being served at 10 or something under COVID.
Whereas Saugerties or Woodstock didn't experience that, and it
nor
worked.
Kingston.
Yeah.
No, Kingston didn't either. The outdoor dining, I think, if you go to Europe, name a restaurant that doesn't have outdoor dining, and look at the way they squeeze them in. And I think it's something whose time has come, and we should really allow it to continue. Many people are far more comfortable eating outside than inside, even now. Even now.
I'm still allowing in the village. I mean, actually, I think I have more restaurants with more outside dining this year than we did last year, and it seems to be getting more and more use.
We haven't shut it down either.
I really like what some of the establishments here in Kingston have done. They've come up with some creative.
They really have.
Yeah. But you're right. I agree. I think there's more outdoor seatings on the sidewalk.
That jailhouse has 6 tables out now, and they're.
Did you get any requests to put seating in the parking, any of the parking spots on the streets?
I did, and I can't grant that permission. It's state road.
Oh, that's true. That
kind of saved me on that one.
So we have the same problem in Woodstock.
I say
you don't in Kingston here. Yeah.
And I let them use the sidewalk as long as they have to leave a 6-foot path for people to walk through. That's my regulation.
We actually put out to a few of the restaurants, and nobody took advantage of this, but there were a couple of town side streets that we said, look, if you want to come up with some plan, let us know.
Yeah, that's been considered for the Strand. Instead what Ship to Shore has done and Savona's right on the corner there have done is they've basically just streamed up the street in the parking areas. But it's it's something we should start to consider. Yes, it's an inconvenience with the parking, but guess what? Maybe we don't need our cars as much as we think we do.
And maybe people can walk 100 feet or 200 feet.
Don't say that, because you'll be accusing calling people lazy like I was. I said that next thing in the Freeman next day. Mayor's calling people lazy. No, that's not what I said.
You look at the way society has become and the obesity problem, especially with younger people. It's just.
I always say when
As the unelected man in the room.
I don't have to worry about that.
I always say,
but I mean, I see it all, you know.
It has nothing to do with big fat egg sandwiches in Danish, does it?
We're going to walk this off in a little while.
I see that, you know, I see it all the time, especially the complex. People are coming for recreation. And God forbid if you close down a section like the food truck festival. Okay, we
try to park
barricade
inside the barricades.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to get to the track if I have to walk that far?
Yeah, you know, just come on.
I go to the track every night to run, and it amazes me how many people. There's a big sign in the high school parking lot: no cars beyond this point. And people take their car and drive it right down to the entrance of the track. I'm like, can't you read? And you're coming here to run.
I know folks who do that, and some of them have physical disabilities, and they need the flat surface. That's the only place where they can actually go. But not everybody.
Not everyone. No, these are teenage kids that are doing it. I'm like, wait, you're here to work out. I just saw you run 5 miles. You can't walk to the parking lot.
Walk to the parking lot.
You know,
the 200 feet of cool down.
And then the other thing that really ticks me off, and I see this all the time with our events. You know, the Garlic Festival is a perfect example. We have that large parking lot. It's strictly handicap, and you see all these people with these handicap permits, younger people, park in the handicap parking. Then they get out of their car and they run to the entrance booth.
Yeah. We have 2 parking lots up on Rock City Road. One on the right side that's a paid lot. We have an attendant there. It's $10 for the day. Second one that's free up on the left. The entrance is maybe 100 feet further up the road, but the lots go the same lane.
You can always get a space.
You can always get a space.
In the free lot.
Everybody that we give residents a permit to park free in the paid lot, they all want their free. And I keep saying, look, we'll give you the permit, but keep in mind that's $10 less every time you park there. That's coming from outside the town into the town to help keep the budget down. Give me the free pass.
The other parking lot is great, too. The one on the other side of Rock City is a terrific lot. And the one behind all the stores on Tinker is also a great lot.
And that's a free lot as well.
Right.
So
there's only one paid lot in Woodstock, and it is the place where there's a traffic jam to get in.
Absolutely.
So,
but I love to see that traffic jam.
Yeah, it's good.
You know, I got council people that aren't so happy about it, but it's people in the town.
When I can't find a parking spot or I'm stuck at the red light for 10 minutes, I'm happy because it means
there's people in your village.
And that's the way it is every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
It's getting to be even during the week.
Oh yeah, right.
And now with this large filming production company in, and I believe Wednesday, Hits starts up again.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw the tents are back up and all that, so it looked like they're getting ready.
I'm very fortunate that I can walk to most of what I need to do. I don't always walk. I'm not walking today, mostly because I had big giant packages to carry.
Thank you.
And my files for work. But I walk to Uptown Kingston and I meet people who drive. And from the time they get to the stockade area to the time their car is parked, I can leave my house and be at the same place.
Exactly.
I love it. And, you know, it's like, and I understand why the crazy real estate things that happened this year happened in the very neighborhood they happened in this community, because walking is
walkable.
Yeah. I do have a thing where I said to a couple of years ago, I haven't done it lately, they don't care about me anymore, but I said to the people running for city council, have you walked your ward? Well, I'm going to. I said, well, if you want a contribution, call me when you do. And then we have a breakfast of, it's been going on for over 40 years. And I try to convince my friends, even if it's on the other end of town from them, I said, just walk. Find out what the sidewalks are like. Take a look at the houses at walking speed as opposed to zipping by in a car. You're going to have a whole different view of the city. Right. And there's virtually no reflection on the mayor. I know he's got a plan. There's virtually no street in Kingston that you can actually, maybe Wall Street, and probably not, where you can actually walk down without looking down to make sure you're not going to trip and fall. And yesterday, last night, some neighbors saw me pulling weeds out of my sidewalk at 9 o'clock at night, and they said, after they said, "Are you crazy?" I explained to them that I had been doing yard work and it just caught my eye right before I went in to take a shower, and I said, I'll give it a shot. And I said to them, I do it mostly for the people with baby carriages, because if you're walking, and you hit those big clumps of grass, it stops the wheels. Resistance. And then you go further down my street and you hit a cliff, or you bump into a piece of sidewalk that's been pushed up by a tree, or where they've paved the sidewalk instead of actually laid sidewalk, where it's got a gully is formed. And when I take the bus to the city in the winter, and I take the 6 o'clock bus to get down there in time for a 9 o'clock meeting, I walk on the street. Because if you dare walk on the sidewalk in the dark in the winter, you're taking your life in your hands.
Yeah.
So, but
sidewalks are amazing, but they're not an easy thing to manage.
No, they are
the
not.
The mayor said, Kingston Mayor Steve Noble said to me a couple of years ago that he was going to propose a plan. I haven't heard the proposal yet, formally. That he was going to propose a plan that would put an assessment on everyone's house for the next literally 30 years, and that assessment would pay for the repair of every single sidewalk in Kingston, but it will take 30 years to fix
do it.
It's
Wow.
actually, we have 240 miles of sidewalk in Kingston.
Is that 240 miles?
We have 120 miles of street, and there's a sidewalk on each side. So,
Wow.
yeah, it might be as little as 220 because some streets don't have sidewalks. but yeah, so
it was disruptive, but driving down Broadway now, and you can kind of see what all that work was about. It's really, the streetscape's changing dramatically.
By the way, Kingston or Mogadishu? I get the two
Kingston,
confused.
yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing,
How
but
many-
it's coming along now. You can sort of see.
Do you know how many miles of sidewalk you have in the village?
No, I do not. We're slowly working on them, piece by piece. We can fix.
We need a lot of
any-
progress.
Anyone that's affected by one of our trees, we fix. And some people are under the impression that the village owns all the sidewalks, which is not the case.
That's an issue we have in Woodstock. We don't own.
And we have a great partnership with Albert Riazzi, who helps us with the sidewalks and keeps our costs down. I mean, Albert's a great partner, and it's tough. I'm lucky I don't have sidewalks in front of my house. I'm one of those few houses that don't have sidewalks. So
I think it's important, since I'm here, that we continue to talk about these community things, because absolutely nothing is going on in Albany.
Yeah, it's quiet up there.
Well, it's also
Come on, there must be one or two
It's
things.
also August, and even before the pandemic, you couldn't get nothing happened in Albany. Everybody was at the track all day.
Yeah, right. So nothing's going on.
Where did you watch the governor be sworn in?
I didn't. I was sleeping when the governor was sworn in at 12:01. I did listen to her address yesterday, and I sent her a note last week offering her congratulations. I sent a note to Governor Cuomo on Monday night thanking him for his service and wishing him well wherever the next road takes him. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that we have to have this sort of disruptive change of government. That's not what a democracy does. We elect people, we unelect people. And I hear now, I saw some congressman wants to impeach or have Joe Biden resign because he made a decision that he didn't like in Afghanistan.
that was a
It's
guy in
like,
Oklahoma, I think. He was one of
that's
those
we're elected for
states.
terms for a reason, and I'm not quick to impeach. I think had I been given the opportunity or the obligation to vote on impeachment of Governor Cuomo, from the evidence that I've seen, not just from the sexual harassment stuff, but from the nursing home data perspective, I probably was leaning toward voting for impeachment. But I can't say that for certain because we never did actually have a presentation of the evidence. We will have a full report from the Judiciary Committee. Many people have come to me and said, "Oh, you made a deal with the governor." No deal was made. In fact, the speaker
Deal regarding what?
His resignation versus not going forward with the impeachment.
Do we really need? So I understand if you dislike a person, you want to see them suffer as much as you can. Great. But the disruption that would cause
that's
in
not.
Albany,
No,
I know, but
you need a shrink if you think that.
I'm never going to
I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable, even my worst enemy.
Well, there's folks that feel that way. They're like, no matter, it's not enough that he's resigned with an element of disgrace.
I want to be clear
that he
that
should be in prison.
The speaker flat out told the governor that there would be no deal under any circumstance. No matter what he offered, there would be no backing off from our investigation and moving forward. And the speaker stood by that. However, the New York State Constitution says that articles of impeachment can be brought for the purpose of removal from office or removal from office and prohibition from future running. The and is the critical word here.
Right.
If you're not removing somebody from office, the Assembly does not have jurisdiction to go forward. That's the interpretation of a dozen legal experts that we had. I asked the Speaker to moderate his statement on that in that regard, because I think that there may come a time where we would like to actually challenge that, but this was not the time. The fact of the matter is that the Constitution prohibits us. We would have been committing what's called an ultra-virus act. We would have been committing an act beyond our authority if we continued with an impeachment after Tuesday morning at 12:01. So if the investigation had been concluded to the point where we could have, brought charges prior to Monday, that was one thing. The investigation wasn't complete. If we wanted to be rushed to judgment, it's entirely possible we would make a presentation that would have even exonerated the governor because it wasn't a complete investigation. We also would have given the governor a forum, and he's already demonstrated through his public relations that he is prepared to further assault his victims. And he would have had the opportunity to do so on a witness stand. And let's also remember what impeachment is. Impeachment is like indictment. It's a charge. It is a charge and a process that brings you forth to a point where the Senate and the Court of Appeals convenes to determine whether a person should be removed from office and prohibited from serving again. It is not a criminal proceeding. It is not a civil proceeding. We don't have the authority to do anything other than those two things. And we, the Assembly, don't have the authority. Only the Senate does. So even if we brought the matter to them 2 weeks ago, I'm certain that the Senate trial would not be complete at this point, and we would not have the governor removed from office now. What he did, I wasn't crazy about the 2 weeks, but what he did was he expedited the process. This is probably where it was going to wind up.
Why did he take the 2 weeks? I know a lot of people have asked, and
I don't know, Bill, and I was troubled by it, but the fact of the matter is that even with the 2 weeks, it was still faster than we could have impeached
Absolutely.
and removed him from office. So we are where we are, and I listened to Governor Hochul. Let that ring in your head a few more times for the next year or so, at least. And I listened to her statements and her first speech to the people of the state of New York, and she's on track. She said, let's wrestle COVID to the ground. Let's make sure our schools are safe. Let's take care of some of the issues that we have, like gun violence that's been growing in the state. And she said, let's move forward. And absolutely, let's move forward.
Right. That's the other thing, too, with the impeachment. Even if it had been constitutional to go ahead and do so. When March Gallagher was on, she was talking about how much time and energy and anxiety working the past 18 months with the pandemic, especially when we're in the worst of it. Think of what you just said, everything that has to be addressed that would have taken away from working towards safe schools, gun violence, everything that has to be addressed.
Everything would have been on hold.
Right. Everything basically would have been on hold. And
I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I don't think that they would be on hold. I think we could have done two things at once, because the Judiciary Committee probably would have been the group that was charged with going forward, and the rest of us could have continued to prepare for or conduct hearings on other issues.
I think you guys can do. I don't think the governor would be able to do two things at once. That's where I was coming from. And you guys would
respectfully agree with you.
You guys would be fine.
I think Bill's right on. I was thinking that as you're talking about it, the dialogue coming out of New York State would have been just about the governor.
Yeah,
And it would have been,
it's possible that
and it takes all three to make it work.
On the other hand, the governor is just one person, and he has an agency, agency after agency that's carrying out, and we're seeing that because Governor Hochul said, for the next 45 days, whoever was the government will remain the government. Right. And even if you're a department head who was a close personal friend of the governor, and that's how you got
there
the
for
job,
45
you're
days.
staying there so we can have continuity. And interestingly, one of the first announcements she made is that Commissioner Howard Zucker is going to stay on, the health commissioner, because many of the controversies that are swirl around health data.
Right.
But what was lost in that whole discussion is that Commissioner Zucker didn't do anything to compromise that data. He turned unadulterated data over to the governor's office, and that's where it was altered. he didn't have the authority to do so. So one of the bills that I'm looking at, and we look back a lot to learn lessons. One of the bills I'm going to look at is that in health emergencies, that the data has to be disseminated in a way that's unfiltered by any elected official or any public official other than the Department of Health.
Right.
If it's a health statistic, the public deserves to know it. We should know what's going on with our nursing homes. We should know what's going on. And honestly, to me, that was the biggest offense of Governor Cuomo. He doctored data.
Mm-hmm.
He or a member of his team.
Right.
A lot of fingers point to the superintendent of insurance who just resigned. But data was doctored. And that deprived the legislature of information we needed to participate in a serious policy discussion as we were giving him extraordinary emergency powers. And it deprived the public of knowledge that they needed to fully understand why things were the way they were. And this was at a time when we were learning as we were going on the pandemic. Masks are good, masks are bad. You need to do this, you need to do that.
Right.
Put people in hospitals, don't put people in
And
hospitals.
the public loses faith. It's one thing to change your minds, but when you start to doctor things,
And-
nothing you say after that.
And let's go to the motivation. Why?
Yeah.
And if a case could be made that information was tailored to prevent alarm in the general public, what would have happened if people saw the massive numbers of deaths that were occurring in nursing homes at the time? Maybe people would have irrationally started to remove their family members from nursing homes.
Mhm.
I mean, it sounds irrational right now, but it probably didn't sound irrational
At the time.
If that were the motivation, maybe we would understand it. Maybe that's something that would come out in the course of a impeachment trial. However, remarkable coincidence is that the governor was writing a book. And in that book, there was a discussion of nursing home data.
Right.
And that nursing home data largely reflected what was the fake data that was given to the public as opposed to the real data that was given to the governor's office. So 1 and 1 doesn't always make 2, but in this case, I think a strong case could be made that data was altered for the purposes of embellishing his book. And that is not just bad, that's a crime.
Yeah.
So anyway, all that aside,
It's still an extraordinary narrative when you think a year ago where the governor's statue had led him in his leadership during the height of the pandemic and where we are today. It's mind-boggling that could happen in such a short time span.
So looking forward in the other direction, Governor Hochul is a person who comes to office with a couple of unique characteristics that nobody has ever had in a long, long time. Her experience in local government, her experience in the federal Congress. She's an attorney. She's worked in offices for legislators, both congressmen, and she worked for Daniel Patrick Moynihan and also John LaFalce. In addition to that, she served on a town board, and you know what that means, right? That means her ears to the rail.
What town?
Right, Hamburg.
Oh, wow.
And she served for a long time, like 12 years. And that
hope for us, Fred.
Hope for us, Bill, yeah.
So she brings to the governor's office, really for the first time, somebody with vast experience in every level of government. And the second thing that she brings to the office is, of course, that she's the first woman to ever serve in that position. That's also important. But there's so much more that the characteristics. One thing that many of us have been looking at is the last time there was a governor of the state of New York who came from above Westchester County was Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Wow.
So she's the first upstate governor in many, many years. And that includes Malcolm Wilson, who came from Westchester County. Right. And he was a governor under circumstances where he became a governor for a very short period of time, unelected, when Governor Rockefeller ascended to the vice presidency. So an upstate governor with local government experience in the legislative branch of government, a different personality than the governor. You know, Governor Cuomo was a bulldozer. Everything we've seen from Governor Hochul is that she wants to be conciliatory and inclusive and wants to hear and move forward. So I'm optimistic. I think good things can be done.
I agree with you. I have had opportunity, I think 2 or 3 times she's been down to Kingston, and it's a 2 or 3 minute conversation.
She was actually in Kingston the day that the Attorney General's report was released.
Came out, yes.
I wasn't. I was actually on my way to the airport, which is why Gabby was here 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I was on my way to the airport, and I couldn't make it. I really wanted to, and I sent my regrets. Interestingly, the invitation to meet with Lieutenant Governor Hochul came from the governor's office at the time. So
it's a little bit of irony.
I suspect the day after that, they were no longer making appointments for Lieutenant Governor Hochul. But it's, the right outcome has occurred, not necessarily in the cleanest and neatest of ways. We have a new governor. And what I said in my note to her is I am certain that I expressed the views of my colleagues and the people I represent in wishing her nothing but the best to help
Her
New
success
York
is our success.
That's right.
It's true.
That's right. So
she has an unenviable task in front of her, though. She's got a
yes.
small window where she can focus on governing, but then she has to consider whether she wants to run for office herself.
She's already announced that she does.
She's announced she's in.
To shift into a campaign
Yes.
mode fairly quickly, and
quicker than anyone ever had to, because we've moved the primary day up, and now she's going to be governor for less than a year when she's going to be facing a primary.
Right.
And that's unprecedented. So we'll see whether she still wants to be governor when the primary comes around. But the next big question that people are asking is who is she going to choose for her lieutenant governor? And I asked her to please consider Fred Costello. I said I think it would be
Fred would do a good job. I'd second that.
Right. Thank you.
And
do not do that. You are there are certainly much more talented people than me.
So she's considering a couple of individuals out of New York City. And that's her intention, to bring balance to the ticket.
Good.
And she's doing it deliberately and carefully, and I'm sure she'll make the announcement soon. And as the old saying goes, whatever she says is the right choice, because it's only her choice.
Right.
So
just to switch topics a little bit, my town clerk asked me about this yesterday. Do either of you gentlemen or Greg, has there been any talk about or what's your latest knowledge on schools reopening, masks, the vaccine for kids under 12? Have you heard anything?
Yes. In fact, in her statement yesterday, the governor said that she is going to mandate masks
in school.
Okay.
Okay.
Schools. She's going to empower districts to carry out that mandate.
She even went a step farther, telling districts that they should employ a policy where teachers and aides would either concede to wearing a mask or concede to being tested on a regular interval.
Right. So I think that she's prepared. She's prepared to go a little bit further than Governor Cuomo was. Governor Cuomo perceived, or at least publicly stated, that he was acting under the emergency authority that was granted to him, and since it was pulled back, he couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
She doesn't have that investment anymore, so she's going to make a decision based upon law and science, and I think the right thing will be done. It's a controversial issue.
Yeah, without a doubt.
In Texas, the governor, my friend, the day the governor announced his resignation, my friend Jim from Texas sent me a text, and he said, our governor is putting out arrest warrants for state legislators and kindergartners who wear masks. How's your governor doing?
Well, I think it was DeSantis in Florida was going to cut off state aid
for
schools
for the
that
schools.
mandated masks.
It's emotional. Listen, I have some of my high school friends are on opposite sides of the issue when it comes even to vaccines and recording of that vaccine.
Even families.
Family members, right. So this has become emotional. I think it's part of the drumbeat we get from the modern media that is willing to take scientific data intended for scientists and throw it out there as if it's fact or not fact, or to make it seem as though there's confusion. What we learned about COVID, and as fast as we learned it, was remarkable. The fact that we had conflicting information along the way was only because we have these vast information channels that are giving information to lay people who really don't understand or know what to do with
And they're taking and interpreting it, and it's
Well,
all.
also, as the information changed, as we went through the months, that also showed that the researchers, the scientists, were doing their jobs.
Right.
And as we went along in this, there were so many unknowns that then became known that then obviously there had to be modification
Right.
to a lot of those.
Right.
Do you think with Pfizer getting full FDA approval, you're going to see more mandatory vaccinations from companies?
Well, Greg, that's a good point, because until it was actually approved, there was no authority to make a mandatory rule. Now that it is FDA approved, there is authority to do so, to make it mandatory, the same as we do with DPT and all the other vaccines that are mandatory. It's entirely legal now to make it mandatory. It was not clear that it was legal beforehand to make a mandatory vaccination rule. I think it's always been legal to make an either-or vaccination or constant testing rule. In my trip, I had to do both. I had to demonstrate that I had a recent test in most places, and I had to demonstrate that I was vaccinated. Any place I wanted to go where I was in Italy. Any place I wanted to go, I had to show a vaccination card.
I was in the city last week for a Yankee game. And to get into stands, you had to show proof of vaccination. And that made me feel real comfortable, because that can be a very, very crowded place.
So vaccinations are not the be all and end all, and that's the other thing. We've entered a period of time where if you can say something is not perfect, you've proven it to be horrible, right? So the vaccination is not 100% guarantee that you can't convey the disease to someone else. You can still be a carrier and have been vaccinated. You can still have COVID. We know now you can still get COVID if you've been vaccinated, but you're not going to die. Right. You're not going to go to the hospital and die.
And 91% efficacy is better than zero.
Absolutely.
I think Kevin just made a significant point. You're not going to go to the hospital. And we've been able to suffer similar rates of exposure and of infection.
End up in the hospital?
Just for an x-ray. That was it.
So, and you were still pretty sick.
Yeah.
So it's not just the hospitalization. It's the fact that it just completely upends your life.
Oh, yeah.
And
you're not going to do much else.
Even if you don't go to the hospital. So the hospitalization statistics are one thing to look at, but then think about the folks who were one step below that, as you were. Or one step next to that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair
That's
point.
one piece of information I wish the county was able to give out. You know, every day now they post how many folks in Woodstock or Saugerties or Kingston have tested positive, but they're not talking about hospitalizations or anything like that. And
that statistic is out there.
Is it?
I've seen it. I don't have it on my
Okay.
sheet here. And by the way, we've had an uptick, pretty serious uptick.
But we're not suffering the same consequence. There's not runs on emergency rooms. There's not that dangerous demand for hospital services.
Lawrence is trying to kick us off the air, but one more thing. Yesterday was the first time in several months that we exceeded 1 million vaccinations in a single day, and it's almost the vast majority of it is in the South that had been rejecting vaccinations to begin with.
That's very good to see, very good to hear. We are out of time. Thank you, State Assemblyman Kevin Cahill. Thank you, Fred Costello, Supervisor Town of Saugerties, Woodstock Supervisor Bill McKenna. Thank you, Lawrence, and most importantly, thank you, listeners and viewers. We'll be right back here next Wednesday.